Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ daily news television show broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels.
Analytics company vidIQ has certified the Queer News Tonight YouTube channel as the world's most popular LGBTQ streaming news show. Our queer stories have reached over 10 million views.
We are proud that Queer News Tonight has more YouTube subscribers than any other LGBTQ brand in Florida.
We thank you for watching and supporting our voice in the LGBT community.
There is no other news program in the LGBTQ world like Queer News Tonight.
It is Thursday, July 31st. We are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we will tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
You're watching Queer News Tonight, the world's first daily LGBTQ evening news show.
Welcome to the world's most important LGBTQ evening news show.
Hotspots Magazine Happening Out Television Network is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model as PBS and NPR, but designed for the LGBTQ community.
Our nonprofit mission is to support the 11 pillars of our LGBTQ community. We want to inform and educate on the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture. Help us support our diverse community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ nonprofit media companies in America, Hotspots Magazine and Happening Out Television Network.
In 2025, our magazine is celebrating 40 years of the LGBTQ experience, and Queer News Tonight is celebrating our 5th anniversary with more than 10,000 LGBTQ television stories. We present PrideFête in August and Pride Fort Lauderdale early next year. Our magazine, events, television, news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ and broader community.
In 2025, more than 100 community leaders will sit at this table and share their voice as our anchors. Together, we host this show to support the LGBTQ community. Let's meet this evening's anchors at Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome anchor John Buckley, a senior client advisor at Wimbledon. He is vice president and program director of the nonprofit organization Unity Coalition, as well as the creator of the initiative COBA, a free traveling social event that features inspiring speakers, topics, and a safe space for all same-gender loving people of color. Plus, he is known as Buck Lords and my brother from the famous House of Lords. John, Proud Empowerment brings business free visibility training on August 13th. Tell me, what's happening out?
On August 13th at 1 p.m., values-led entrepreneurs are invited to attend Proud Empowerment Business, How to Get More Clients Without Chasing the Algorithm. A free live training created for business owners passionate about inclusivity, authenticity, and impact. Hosted by Mandy, founder of Proud Empowerment Business, and a fierce advocate for social justice, the 60-minute sessions, plus live Q&A, promises to be a refreshing alternative to formulaic marketing advice. Here, attendees will experience a visibility reset grounded in clarity, consent, and sustainable strategy. Registration is free and open to all purpose-driven business owners ready to market with integrity. Rooted in a deep passion for authentic connection, Proud Empowerment Business helps create inclusive strategies that uplift and empower underestimated communities. More details on proudempowerment.com. I think this is a great initiative. It's something that we could use in a time more than ever, and it's free. So definitely log on and learn how to naturally and authentically build your brand and your business.
And you don't see a lot of that.
No.
And and people need help with that
Yes.
too, especially in marketing.
Well, and we're in different times. And so, any business owner who hasn't kind of adjusted with the times, this is a good refresher for them to be able to see, how do I reach a bigger audience? How do I seem authentic? Because, the younger generation is looking for that. And so they're looking for that authenticity. And I think this is really important. And then also, again, we keep talking about community and outreach. And so, I would encourage people who are not just LGBT owned businesses, but businesses of all allies and people who maybe don't understand the different communities that are out there to go and find out a little bit more on how they can reach a bigger audience.
Agree.
So, Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at the Proud Empowerment Business Free Visibility Training on August 13th. That is our big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome Alex Morash. Alex has served as editor-in-chief of Options Magazine, media director of the National LGBTQ Task Force, and press secretary for the Florida Democratic Party. Alex, Burgers and Board Games night set for August 13th at Tropics in Wilton Manors. Tell me, what's happening out?
Sure thing, Rex. On Wednesday, August 13th, Wilton Manors will host an evening of fun, food, and friendly competition at the Gay and Lesbian Half-Price Burger, Dinner, and Board Games event. Organized by Norman Extract and hosted at Tropics Grill, this free community gathering will take place from 5 p.m. onward. The evening will kick off with cocktails and a special half-price burger dinner. Guests will have their pick of beef, chicken, fish, or veggie burgers, perfectly suited for every taste. At 6:30 p.m., the fun will shift to the garden room, where attendees will break into groups into a play of variety of board games. Guests are encouraged to bring their favorite games to share. Whether attending just for dinner, just for games, or both, participants are requested to message the host in advance due to limited seating. The LGBTQ Meetup Group is a social organization that is the largest queer meetup group in South Florida. More details will be available on the Facebook page of the Fort Lauderdale LGBTQ Social Meetup Group for singles and couples. And that to me just sounds like a nice fun thing to do at Tropics.
Yes.
And every time I've been to Tropics, it's always been nice and fun, but I think having board games is also a good idea. Normally I would say be careful what you do when you consume alcohol, but board games, what's the worst that could happen? Don't answer that every time.
I mean, I'm competitive and I like burgers, and they're half price with today's economy. Yes. I'm in.
Yes.
So we will definitely be there. Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at Burgers and Board Games Night at Tropics in Wilton Manors on August 13th. That is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome anchor Larry Farver. Larry has over 20 years of experience in human resources, acting, film, radio, TV, live events, parade float design, production, and casting. He is also a board member of the West Side Association. Larry, South Florida Mustangs bring square dancing to Wilton Manors on July 31st. Tell me, what's happening out?
Well, that's right, Rex. Get ready to kick up your heels starting tonight, July 31st, and upcoming every Tuesday and Thursday throughout the month of August. There'll be an opportunity to attend at Richardson Park Manor House, which will be transformed into a lively dance floor for a night of classic American square dancing from 6:30 to 9 p.m. Dancers of all levels learn to do the circle left, do-si-do, and more in an energetic and welcoming environment. Hosted by the South Florida Mustangs, this event promises a fun-filled evening of dance, music, and community spirit. At just $5 a person, it's an affordable, foot-stomping good time for everyone, aged 18 and up. No partner or experience is needed. The South Florida Mustangs is considered America's premier LGBTQ square dance social club. For more details, visit the website at southfloridamustangs.org or call them directly at 954-336-3779. So I had the opportunity, out of curiosity, to attend last year. It's a lot of fun. It's in, the historic Richardson House, which is a nice venue. We've had many different events and attractions there, everything from plays of Wilton to this event and many more. So I think it's a great opportunity. They look like they have a lot of fun. And the nice thing is, if you have a night where you don't have anything to do, you can go in just to observe. You don't necessarily have to jump right in. I kind of watched that evening. But before we had this broadcast, I was sort of surveying the room, and we were saying, well, who had square dancing in elementary school? And it was an interesting, I grew up in the western suburbs of converted farmland in New Jersey, so I did. And I asked my husband, who grew up right outside of New York, and he's like, what are you talking about? So square dancing is fun. I think you should at least try it or go and observe. It can be a light and fun evening, and there's a lot of nice people in the community hanging out, so check it out.
I've never square danced or do-si-doed. So, hey.
All I know, all the ruffles the girls wore and
Yes.
dresses. Now I can see
Yes.
men wearing them probably.
Yes.
Back then that probably didn't happen. Today, it's
Yes.
a different story.
It can be fun. In
Yeah.
DC, there was the LGBTQ square dancing,
that's
and a
right.
friend dragged me to that one. Then it was a far more fun time than I would have expected. But knowing that the Mustangs are the world premier LGBTQ square dancers, I hope that they really bring it then.
No, and one of the leaders, Chris, who I had a conversation with the last time, really nice guy. And again, you can be a beginner and still have a great time.
Well, I'm going to break out those Wranglers, dust off those boots, and pick out my hanky color because Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at the South Florida Mustangs Square Dance from July 31st tonight and each Tuesday and Thursday throughout August. That is the big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome anchor Vaughn Biggs. He is a community engagement and outreach coordinator at Holy Cross Health, a vice chair of the Ryan White Part A Planning Council, and a board member of Trans Ed and Harmony Waves. Vaughn, Faith and Health to Unite at Broward HCS event on August 23rd, and you are participating in it. Tell me, what's happening now?
That's right, Rex. Broward County's Healthcare Services will host the second annual Faith-Based Initiative on Saturday, August 23rd from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. at the Dorothy Mangarian Comprehensive Women's Center. This event will take place in observance of National Faith and HIV/AIDS Awareness Day, bringing together community leaders and health experts to explore the powerful intersection of faith and health. This free event will feature renowned panelists from diverse sectors, including medical professionals, faith leaders, support service experts, and individuals with lived experiences. They will lead engaging discussions designed to equip faith-based communities with tools to foster healthy coping strategies, dismantle stigma surrounding health issues, and promote overall well-being. Attendees can expect interactive learning activities, health-related resources, and a welcoming space for networking and partnership building. A complimentary lunch and refreshments will also be provided, encouraging community connection and open dialogue. The Healthcare Services section of Broward County manages funds to deliver high-quality, affordable, and consumer-focused care for individuals with medical, behavioral, mental health, and special health needs. As authorized by the County Commission, for more details, participants will be encouraged to visit broward.org. This is the second event I think I've done with them. It might be the second event I've done with them. And the premise was behind it was talking really initially about HIV and the faith community, because so many individuals, they've struggled with dealing with the faith community when it comes to HIV and AIDS. And so it was a way to start bridging that gap and bringing those community leaders, those faith-based leaders to the table to kind of educate them, to talk about the stigma, talk about how, as we see, everything is changing in our country, and churches, have always been on the forefront of helping individuals as well. And people need to find a place that they can, if they want to go worship, and they need to feel like they can do that openly. And HIV is not a death sentence that it once was. So it's a way of how we can build those networks and educate people.
I mean, I think it's important because there's a lot of times that sometimes people feel that faith is on one side of the river
Right.
and health is on the other side of the river, and there's not a bridge there.
Right.
And a lot of people who are very, engaged in their faith and their church often come up against that when they have to make health choices.
Right.
So I think it's very important for people to have those conversations because you can meet in the middle, right? So it's building that bridge on both sides. So I think this is really important. So. Well, Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at Broward HCS event on August 23rd. That is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.
And of course, let's welcome tonight's lead anchor, Rex Rogosch. Rex is a visionary designer with over 30 years of experience in product design, interior design, and architecture. And also known in the community as N2 National Lords, Rex recently returned to performing. As president and co-founder of Lentera, he champions mental health awareness through vibrant, inclusive events. Rex LGBTQ+ seniors to gather at Sunserve SilverServe Luncheon on August 8th. Tell me, what's happening out?
Absolutely. Sunserve and the City of Wilton Manors will host their next SilverServe Luncheon on Friday, August 8th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Hagen Park in Wilton Manors. The free monthly event designed for LGBTQ plus seniors and their friends promises connection, community, and a dash of fun. Guests will enjoy a complimentary Greek-inspired lunch and free parking behind City Hall. This month's special guest, James Sr. from Edward Jones, will share inclusive, accessible investment tips tailored for older adults. Adding to the excitement, attendees will play crowd favorite bingo with a lineup of playful and practical prizes. Mental health expert Dr. Susan Gritz, along with Sunserve's interns, will be present to offer a listening ear and warm support. Familiar community faces like Lisa Tiffany and the Sunserve team will be there to greet and mingle with guests. Sunserve's SilverServe program offers a safe, supportive space for queer seniors, promoting connection, wellness, and an improved quality of life through their services. To get more information about the event, visit sunserve.org. We've talked a lot on this program about engaging with seniors in general and how important it is, and then how even more important it is, especially with the LGBTQ community, because they feel so isolated. And so I like the fact that they're doing something that's fun, that's lighthearted, that gets people there, but there's also an underlying message there of, hey, we can help you with connection, we can help you with mental health, we can help you with finances. I mean, the way the economy is going right now, I mean, everybody is probably scrambling, and being LGBTQ plus specifically, finances are probably a little bit more hard because, who do you leave stuff to? Who's going to be watching stuff? Because you have chosen family, not legal. So this is a really great, Sunserve is putting together something that, everybody can enjoy. And I like the fact that it's seniors and family and friends. Because, that is our chosen family, at a lot of times our friends. And that way they can see, okay, maybe I'm not a senior yet, but I have senior friends, and this is how I can help them, which I think is super important.
Yeah. We've talked about it a lot, and it is, especially with our aging community, and especially people with like chronic health illnesses and things like that. And they go into isolation. I think we talked about it, that, our aging seniors, even me, but, you lose your parents. You've lost your parents, perhaps. You've lost your loved ones. You've lost your partner, and it's like, they become isolated because they don't feel connected. And these type of events is what connects them together and brings them out so they can feel connected to the community.
Absolutely. Queer News Tonight looks forward to seeing you at the Sunserve SilverServe Luncheon on August 8th. That is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.
Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Rex Rogosch, and let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Hotspots magazine drops free PrideFête edition. Don't miss the feature on designer Drew Chuck. Our Hotspots Happening Out LGBTQ lifestyle magazine Hotspots has issued a new PrideFête edition today, and it is available free of cost on stands. The magazine has covered multiple engaging features, including the pivotal PrideFête feature on designer Drew Chuck. Drew Chuck is the visionary behind the dazzling Designs by Drew, who continues to redefine Caribbean carnival fashion with creations that blend heritage, artistry, and soul. Drew's creative fire now fuels one-of-a-kind costumes for events like Miami Carnival and Jamaica Carnival. This year's masterpiece, Lapis Lazuli, is inspired by the ancient royal stone once cherished by pharaohs. Featuring celestial blues and golden accents, the design pays homage to the divine wisdom and trade legacy of Egypt. Drew's designs are not just costumes, they're living art. And they are perfect for the upcoming PrideFête event on August 9th. To learn more about the artist and where you can purchase and explore his work, grab the free copy as soon as you can. I love carnival outfits, and the artisans that create them are they're mind-blowing. They take such actual simple, materials, if you think about it, and turn them into something extraordinary. And, his work is just beautiful, and it makes you feel beautiful. It makes you feel empowered when you have it on. And so I can't wait. I'm going to go grab my copy today, right as soon as I leave here, and peruse to see, what I love. And blue and gold together is just beautifully royal.
Oh, it was a very beautiful image. And, obviously I was looking at that photo at the art, not the man. And
Or
but no, Carnival is always fun. And it's so great to see us doing it here in Miami. And the outfits are amazing. And Hotspots is always doing a great job with their content. It's great to see them do this edition.
Absolutely.
costumes are always very eye intriguing.
Yeah.
But the heritage and the history behind like PrideFête and the stuff that you learn and experience when you're there is awesome. So if you haven't ever had a chance to go, that's definitely
looks like something to check out.
Get my feathers on.
Yeah.
And that is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.
Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm John Buckley, and let's queer up South Florida and Florida. After years of gay community harassment, Craig Jungwirth's fate will be decided by a jury trial. As reported by South Florida's John Hayden, Craig Jungwirth will finally face a jury trial after years of alleged harassment and threats against South Florida's LGBTQ+ community. Jury selection in this felony aggravated stalking case is scheduled for Tuesday, August 5th. Depending on how long that takes, the trial could begin the same day. According to the new report by Hayden, Jungwirth is accused of electronically stalking a South Florida businessman by sabotaging his scheduled platform with fake appointments and other disruptive tactics. He was first arrested for this charge in February 2024, made bail, and then skipped court dates, leading to a second arrest in September 2024. Since then, he has remained in custody in Broward County. Known throughout Wilton Manors for allegedly threatening major Pride events and creating fake ticketed events, Jungwirth has become a deeply controversial figure. Over the years, he has faced numerous accusations, ranging from stalking and defamation to criminal mischief and even false imprisonment of a family member. However, many cases have dropped or been dismissed, leaving the queer community frustrated and fearful. Hayden notes that now, with a formal jury trial ahead, the community hopes for accountability. You can understand more about this case by visiting OutSouthFlorida.com, where journalist John Hayden has covered the news and community response extensively. I hope in this trial that they finally get what they need to continue to keep him away and out of the community. I think he's threatened and spoiled enough of the initiatives that we have going for ourselves, and it's one less issue that we need to deal with.
Yeah. Well, and I hope that he not only stays away, because obviously but he gets the help that he needs, because he's obviously a troubled individual. I mean, did you see that picture? Yeah. But he's obviously a troubled individual, and he needs help as well. So I think that's important. I'm not condoning or standing by what he's done, because it's all heinous, but he needs help, and so hopefully he gets the treatment that he needs while being locked up, so that the rest of the community can feel safe.
Yeah, I don't know his mental state. I could say this has always been a little bit of a weird story, because I know he's upset a lot of people within the community, but when I think of like a criminal that gets a lot of media attention, making fake appointments and being a jerk to people in the community is not what I normally think of. So in some ways, to Wilton Manors, like, congratulations, if this is our worst criminal, like we have it a lot better than a lot of other communities. I'll be honest, at least the way it's been reported, I'm sure that it's a bigger deal that I'm making up, but if I was on the jury and you told me it's stalking to make fake appointments on a business owner's website, I'm like, well, people do that as activists all the time. How is it stalking? So, like, I think that's something that, like, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I hope there's probably more to the way they're describing it, but also, like, we didn't want him in the community. Like, he already left. Like, the police going and getting him and bringing him back. Well, now he's back here. At least he can't get out, but, like, he was at least away from us to begin with. So
it's my understanding that there was a lot of times when, yeah, everyone thought he was gone, but then all of a sudden someone would see him in the community, and he was still around. But he plays a very good slippery slope, from my understanding, with the legal system, and was able to get away from a lot of things, and finally it's caught up to him.
Well, and hopefully it's a precedent to send a message out to others that this kind of action will not be tolerated. No matter what your personal thoughts are, being disruptive to independent business owners and people is just wrong.
Yep.
Absolutely. And that is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.
Now, let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Alex Morash, and let's queer up gay culture. Barbie world mourns beloved gay designer couple after tragic crash. The Barbie world has lost two of its brightest stars. This week, tragedy struck the global Barbie collector community as renowned designers and life partners Mario Pagliano and Gianni Grossi were killed in a car crash in Italy. The couple, famous for their custom Barbie dolls and longtime collaboration with Mattel, died in a head-on collision with an 82-year-old man driving the wrong way on the Italian highway. According to reports from Italian media, the driver, Egiano Carciano, had recently renewed his license in 2023. He reportedly drove over 4 miles in the wrong direction before the fatal crash. Carciano and a passenger in the couple's car also lost their lives. Pagliano and Grossi operated under the creative brand Magni 2000, producing dazzling tribute dolls of queer icons and pop legends like Cher, Lady Gaga, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Victoria Beckham. One of their most cherished creations, a Madonna-inspired Barbie, was designed to raise funds for charity. Their work also appeared in a landmark 2008 issue of Vogue issued The Black Barbie. Mattel released an emotional tribute on Instagram, writing, "The Barbie team is heartbroken by the loss of Mario Pagliano and Gianni Grossi, two treasured creators and Mattel collaborators who brought joy and artistry to the world of Barbie as Magnia 2000. As passionate and talented designers and lifelong collaborators, their spirit and love for brand turned every creation they touched into a masterpiece. For so many in the queer community, Mario and Gianni weren't just doll makers, they were dream weavers, transforming plastic into power, fashion, and fearless expression. They will be deeply missed." You know, this is one of those really sad stories that's both like, you know, and it's a thing about Barbie and queerness, but also like, I'm most just shocked by, like, we really do have an epidemic, not just in the United States, but worldwide, of senior driving. Like, I'll just be like, it's not, I don't mean that as a joke. Like, I remember the one time I ever had to go to court over a court ticket, the lady in front of me was an older woman because she'd been driving down the center of the street for like 2 miles. And how many times have we all had a relative that's too old to drive? Mm-hmm. I love my grandmother. She's 97. I am absolutely terrified. I will not let her drive with me. I can't. And so hearing this story, it brings that all back to me.
Yeah, I mean it's sad, and and unfortunately, we've lost two brilliant creators of something that millions of people love. Barbie, which is not just here in the States but worldwide, and so and you're right. It's sad that it was caused by something that might have been able to be prevented. Honestly, so it's sad and mournful, and unfortunately, we've lost two shining stars. And that is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.
Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Larry Farver, and let's queer up entertainment. The Simpsons creator, Matt Groening, slams Fox News at Comic-Con. Matt Groening, the legendary creator of The Simpsons and Futurama, didn't hold back at San Diego Comic-Con this weekend. Speaking to a packed audience, the iconic animator delivered a message that's resonating loudly across queer communities and beyond. Quote, "Delete Fox News," end quote. Groening, known for his sharp satire and cultural foresight, was reflecting on the many eerily accurate predictions made by The Simpsons, including Donald Trump's presidency. Looking ahead, he offered a hopeful vision for the nation's future, predicting that children would, quote, "liberate Republican parents from the cult of MAGA," end quote. Groening encouraged fans to take an active step toward the change, saying, quote, "Grab the TV remote, go to the menu, go to the controls, vertical controls, look for channel list, and delete Fox News," end quote. Fox News, still one of the most watched cable networks in the U.S., has long been accused of promoting far-right narratives. LGBTQ viewers especially have expressed concern as Fox aired over 400 segments mentioning trans athletes in just 4 months, 59 in 1 week alone. Groening's message hits close to home for fans of The Simpsons, a show that itself aired on Fox for decades while famously skewering the network. One 2010 episode featuring a helicopter branded with Fox News, not racist, but #1 with racists. For many LGBTQ Americans, Groening's call isn't just about TV settings, it's about tuning out hate and turning up hope. Well, I was just doing some research, and I can't believe that this show's been on since 1989, so going on 35 years. But every once in a while, when I just need to veg and tune out and have some satire, it's a good escape. And I give Groening credit, especially being on the Fox network, that they have the strength. They bring in an audience, obviously, because they haven't been erased. They're bringing in revenue to keep going, and I think that we need to encourage that as a community with our allies as well on any kind of media, whether it's television, movies, social media. What do you all think?
I mean, we have to remember that when he started it, it was just Fox Network. It wasn't Fox News.
Yes.
And Fox News isn't news. It just happens to have the word in it because it's not even registered as a news channel. It's registered as an entertainment channel. So, I always thought it was interesting that, he kept on the Fox channel. Now Fox News has spurred off onto its own channel, and, Fox is back to just entertainment. So they've kind of tried to, segregate themselves. But, I'm very happy for people like him and people like South Park who, definitely are putting out content out there that is not necessarily towing the line and waves. And like you said, they're making a lot of money for these networks. So it's kind of like, okay, do we cancel you and lose all that revenue and lose all that audience? Or do we let you kind of play the petulant child, as they would say, in the boardroom and do what you want? Kudos to him.
Yeah, I'm so glad that we did that. Not only was the founder of The Simpsons, speaking out about Fox News, but also we were doing the story on it. When you saw they talked about the 400 cases of trans people, the group that did that is called Media Matters, the group that I actually used to be a researcher for. And, studying, and for those that don't know what Media Matters is, its whole main job is to study Fox News and document it's basically, it's lies. It lies all the time. It is a poison on our society. And people don't always understand how Fox, it was created by a Republican operative specifically to prevent a situation like what happened to Nixon, where the media was like, oh, you're a crook, we need to do something about it. They wanted to make sure there was an opposite. Fox does call itself fair and balanced. It was the first group to really start that pretend to be what it's not. And as we've all seen, Donald Trump has taken it to a whole new level. And it was all, Fox is why we have Donald Trump and why we have the entire political landscape we have now. Anytime you think about a right-wing conspiracy theory, it might not have started at Fox News, but it gets amplified by Fox.
Well, and like they, it says they are the largest watched, which doesn't surprise me at all because, again, a lot of us grew up watching The Simpsons, and the Married with Children and all those shows that, didn't have anything. So you grow up watching that. So then you just then get indoctrinated into, oh, Fox News was there. And now Fox News is its own major channel 24 hours a day. And so you just go, oh, well, I've been watching it since I was a kid. And you end up being brainwashed and poisoned. So it doesn't surprise me that, they have such a far reach, unfortunately. Well, that is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.
Now let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story for today. I'm Von Biggs, and let's queer up health. LGBTQ patients still turn to ER for mental health, despite more clinic visits. A new study is sounding the alarm on mental health care for LGBTQ folks in rural America. Researchers from the Geisinger Health System analyzed 5 years of patient data and found LGBTQ people, especially transgender and non-binary youth, face staggering rates of depression and suicidality, even though they access outpatient care more often than straight cisgender peers. Many still land in the emergency room for mental health crisis. So let's talk the numbers. Among transgender minors, 59% were diagnosed with major depression, compared to just 12.4% of their non-LGBTQ peers. 8.5% ended up in the ER for suicidal thoughts, 6 times the control group's rate. The study concludes, quote, these findings suggest that outpatient care may fall short in addressing underlying mental health needs of LGBTQ individuals, end quote. It's not for lack of trying. LGBTQ adults and minors visited outpatient clinics more frequently and sought mental health help at higher rates. Still, the gaps persist, especially in rural areas with few or no LGBTQ affirming providers. The healthcare access and utilization by transgender populations. A United States Transgender Survey study found that 2.8% of transgender people felt their doctor understood their gender-related care, and nearly 1 in 5 said that their doctor knew, quote, almost nothing, end quote. The solution, experts say, it starts with training providers to deliver affirming care, building inclusive systems, and making gender-affirming services accessible, especially for youth. Because until that happens, too many queer and trans people will continue to face mental health care that feels like crisis control instead of true healing. You know, we talked recently about, you know, the cut of Pound 3 from the crisis hotline that, you know, our LGBTQ youth does not have access to any longer. And we've always talked about how the LGBT community suffers when it comes to mental health issues. But this new study is a wake-up call. Despite more LGBTQ folks, especially youth, seeking help, the system is still failing them. And when outpatient care doesn't meet their needs, the ER becomes the last resort. That's not mental health care, that's damage control. The numbers speak volumes. Let's pause on that stat. 59% of transgender minors are diagnosed with major depression. That's nearly 5 times the rate of their non-LGBTQ peers. And ER visits for suicidal thoughts, 6 times higher. These aren't just numbers, they're lives, and they're telling us something urgent. So we've got to fix this.
I mean, you know, speaking from personal experience, the ER was the only thing that I thought I could go to because I didn't have the support at home, and I knew my doctor didn't understand. And so off to the ER. And I was in a major city. To somebody who's in a rural community who definitely probably doesn't have the support at home, who doesn't probably have a doctor that understands them, especially transgender issues. The ER, unfortunately, in this case, seems like the only help. And, you know, if that is unfortunately the only help they have at the moment, I'm glad that they're taking it. But I do agree, you know, not only do doctors and healthcare, you know, people in general need to have more education. It's simple as I lived in Delaware, where you would think, you know, it's a pretty LGBT friendly place, and it's one of the beach towns. But my care provider there, when they asked what medication you're on, and I said Truvada, they're like, "What's that?" And the pharmacist is like, "Why are we selling so much of this?" I'm like, "Do you not know what you're selling?" So that, you know, that right there was the day that I paused, going, okay, well, if they don't understand the simple thing as PrEP and Truvada, then how are they going to understand, you know, mental health needs for not only myself but trans people, non-binary people, because they don't have the education, or they don't listen to their education. You know.
Well, first off, thank you for shaking my faith in the medical community. If you don't even know what Truvada, even I know that.
Unfortunately, it's true.
I guess the other thing that scares me with these stats, because these are all scary stats,
right.
People also go to the ER for health issues when they don't have access to health insurance, whether their insurance doesn't provide enough insurance or they don't have it. So if you're seeing a spike of people going to the ER for mental health, it could be that they don't have access to insurance as
also
well.
True.
Because and people are like, oh, well, didn't we pass laws that cover this? I personally, it was a mental health medication of mine when I lived in Rhode Island, I was trying to get access to, and the insurance didn't want to pay for it. And I had to call a health advocate, like, what's going on? And like, oh, well, your insurance doesn't provide enough coverage to actually, for those laws to apply. I'm like, what do you mean? You're saying my insurance is so crappy. I'm now exempt from basic laws. So you see that sort of example of like, oh, I had to pay that out of pocket. I could afford to pay it out of pocket. But I would just imagine all sorts of kids and adults with mental health issues that don't have access to health care, whether it be the insurance or the insurance doesn't cover it, and are going to the ER to deal with it. And then, dealing with doctors in general, and if you're queer, has always been bad. I can only imagine what it is for trans people. Less than 3% think their doctors understand. That probably frightens me more than any other stat in this.
Well, and you bring up I have good health care, yet my health care doesn't pay for my mental health services that I use to this day. So, and it took me actually calling and trying to figure out. So there's a lot of levels to this. Most people who have healthcare don't understand the insurance that they do have because they don't have proper people at their works giving them the proper information. HR is going, here's your healthcare. Right. And then it takes, sometimes dialing 20 different numbers to figure out, hey, what am I covered? I find that sometimes health providers, it's very hard to get information out of them going, hey, can you help me understand what is covered and what is not? And then to find out that your healthcare is, you have healthcare you're paying for, but then it doesn't cover mental health services. If you have healthcare. And so to double compound that, you're talking rural people, you're talking youth. So youth people aren't going to have healthcare. They're typically on their parents' healthcare. And how many of you, when you were a child, said, hey, mom and dad, what does my healthcare, right? What does your healthcare cover on me? We didn't, because mom and dad took care of it, right? Yeah. So now you're in a situation where you can't talk to your parents about being LGBT. You can't talk to them about what your healthcare is covering. So, there's a lot of apps and websites that are starting to pop up that are, specifically made for LGBT healthcare, and which is great. And so, hopefully some of the younger people who are very tech savvy are starting to stumble across this. And, this is saying that they are looking for healthcare. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, when you don't have the tools.
One thing you brought up, I just want to take a moment to think about the insanity of a child being expected to understand what their insurance does and doesn't cover.
I know.
That's just crazy to me to think of. I know that you didn't mean it like that, but I know that in our country, the way we're dealing with healthcare right now, we expect children to be experts in insurance payment systems.
Well, they expect adults to be too. Think about it. They go through and people keep the same insurance, plan. You think Medicare, and they go, I'm keeping the same plan, but they don't realize in that same plan that there were changes when the new year rolled around, and they don't know what they lost because.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, that is a big LGBTQ story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight. And those are today's headlines from Queer News Tonight. These anchors represent the best of our LGBTQ community.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headline.
We need your support. If our community is to grow and then thrive, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these type of LGBTQ stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Hotspots magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, Rex Rogosch, and I wish you a fabulous evening on behalf of these LGBTQ reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including John Buckley, Alex Morash, Larry Farver, and Vaughn Biggs. We will see you daily at 8 p.m. to our LGBTQ world. We hope you will join us by embracing love, generosity, bravery, and be transformative and queer. Good night.
Good night. Good night.